Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I have to say before I start, if my eye makeup looks a little darker than usual, it's because I'm still playing around with some of the different food-based colorings to use as an eyeliner, and I went a little heavy. I tried to lighten it up, but anyway, I was using spirulina powder around my eyes this time to make a dark green kind of look for the eyeliner, but yeah, it ended up a little dark. So anyway, so I'm here for another this and that video, and today that I'm shooting this video is actually June 8th, and it's very, very cold here in Rain Country, which it's not unusual for it to be wet and chilly in the month of June, but as cold as it's been crazy. So when I'm done shooting these two back-to-back videos today, I'm going to go build a fire because I'm very cold. Now, if you're new to my channel, my this and that videos are usually really just about the various different things I have going on the week that I'm shooting this video, the different things that I'm making, and usually that will involve updating you on some things, projects I have going on, to also refer you back to older videos to show how I make some of the various things I'm doing, and basically just a vlog just to kind of share with you, well, what's happening around here. So I want to start off by talking about my infused oil. I just got another jar of herb infused oil that I use in my homemade skin cream. I have a video just on this particular oil, and I get questions a lot. Can you use the oil by itself once it's done? Yes, you can if you so choose, but I make it specifically for my skin cream, which I have these items out here. This is just some of them, but that's to remind me I need to get more skin cream made to go up on my store, in particular the Rose Geranium Vanilla. So this here is a finished batch of the infused oil, and so you can see it has a nice gold color from the various herbs in here. It starts out pretty clear. I use avocado oil, and then I'd like to let it infuse for 2 months, but I've been having to get myself far ahead. So I think with this one I'll have actually 4 jars infusing, because my skin cream's been selling like crazy, and so I have to get farther ahead. But anyway, I also have a video, even though I sell the skin cream on my store. Our Etsy store is also, by the way, linked in the description box down below. However, I do have 2 different videos showing how to make the homemade skin cream, so I'll link to the more recent one down below, and that's for the Rose Geranium Vanilla, but I have another blend that I make, which is my personal favorite. All the oils and fats I use in there are the same. I just use different essential oils for the scent and the benefits it gives to the skin. So anyway, I just got this started because I'm trying to stay ahead, and I'm starting to run low on my herbs. Like, I'm down to my last jar of calendula, my last tiny little bit of lavender flowers over there. So hopefully by the time you're seeing this video, in fact, I know at the time I'm shooting this, I have 2 of the older calendula plants that actually made it through the winter that are blooming right now. And hopefully by the time you're seeing this, maybe my new plants from this year are starting to bloom, and my lavender, because I need to start drying up tons of flowers, because I go through a lot of these dried herbs through the year. Speaking of dried things, I wanted to mention this is I just took a picture of this too. I just finished filling up this jar yesterday and vacuum sealed it, and so this is ready to go in food storage. And what this is dehydrated rhubarb. Now I decided to get back into the dehydrating the rhubarb as well as freezing it. So I've been freezing the rhubarb, putting the fresh rhubarb in jars, and then vacuum sealing it and then freezing it. And I'm going to talk more about that in a future video. I'm going to do a freezing in jars update because I'm starting to do some things a little bit differently. Now I'll still be doing that because I love using that for when I make Patrick's different creamsicles. Usually I'll do like a rhubarb blueberry creamsicle, or I might combine it with another fruit. And so that's what I use that one for. But if I'm going to be cooking, baking, making jams or whatever, I can use the dehydrated rhubarb easily enough, because I'm going to be cooking it anyway, and I'm always cooking it in with other fruits as well, and so that will cook up just fine, and I won't even have to pre-soak it. So I have messed around with a little bit, or you could even make a jam just out of the dehydrated rhubarb. But since I prefer to mix my rhubarb with other fruits instead of making just a plain rhubarb whatever, and the rhubarb's always the first thing to come in, I like to preserve it in the form of either dehydrating or freezing. Well, I wanted to mention this in the fact that dehydrating is really great if you're looking at saving space. When I'm freezing up the rhubarb, I can usually fit about 4 stalks of rhubarb cut up into a pint jar this size, a wide mouth pint. But when I dehydrate it, I can fit 4 times as many stalks. That means I have 16 stalks of rhubarb in here. Isn't that something else? Because there's so much water in the rhubarb that once you dehydrate it up, you're just left with little teeny tiny pieces. But yes, it does cook up beautifully once it's been dried. Which, by the way, I am going to be shooting a video right after this one about how I use dehydrated foods and freeze-dried foods in cooking and different things. I'm actually planning on having that one published first. I will link to it down below in the description box so you can check it out. I do videos here and there showing how I use dehydrated foods to make different things, but I don't think I've ever done a video just talking about the overall general use of dehydrated and freeze-dried foods and the many different ways that you can use them. So that's the video I plan on doing and then having linked down below. Again, don't forget to click on show more just below the video if you're on a computer, and if you're on a smart device, you'll most likely see a little gray arrow right down over here just under the video. Click on that to open up the description box and see all our various links and contact information. Okay, now I want to go back to talk about some of the fermented things I have going. Now, another video that would have already published by the time you're seeing this is one I did on fermenting, just various different fermenting projects. And I talked about the eggs, I talked about kimchi, I talked about vinegar, and showed how I got this little starter going, which is very bubbly. I've been feeding it. It should be ready to use right now. And this is a dandelion red clover fermentation starter. So I plan on starting a batch of kimchi real soon with this, probably tomorrow. And so be watching down the road for another this and that video where I give you an update on how that kimchi turned out that I plan on making with this starter, just to experiment with making a starter with herbs. As I said, I knew it would turn out. I knew it would get fizzy on its own, and it did. It's very lively. I've decided already, even though I haven't made anything with it yet, that I'm going to be making like maybe a whole quart jar of this, picking some more red clover and more dandelions, and then making a bigger batch of the fermentation starter so I can always have 2 big batches. So I'll have the pineapple mango one, and then I'll have the herb based one, and keeping them side by side. I'm trying to stick with things that have a very neutral color and, you know, won't change the flavor of what I'm using it in too much, if at all. Usually doesn't change it much at all. So then the other thing I talked about was my eggs. Now in that video I'd only had the eggs actually fermenting for a full day, a little better, maybe a day and a half. And now they've been fermenting for at least 3, I think this is day 4. And so they're ready to be put in the refrigerator. They're very fizzy. Now this has color in it for 2 reasons. One coming from the peppers and one coming from the starter I used in it because it was a berry starter. So it already added some it actually had a reddish color added to it. But as your foods ferment, the colors do change. And so you can see this has more of an orangey look to it. And so that's gonna go into the egg white. And of course, the longer you let it sit, the more it's gonna get into the yolk as well. But it will change the color of the white. That means you should be having some of the flavor and nutrients of whatever spices and herbs and whatever you put in there going into that egg white. So also here's a picture like I showed in that last video of some beet kvass eggs that I fermented, and they just turn out really beautiful. It's like just a beautiful Easter egg. So I'm looking forward to digging into these today. They smell like fermented eggs, which some people might think smells kind of stinky, but you know, because it has very much a sulfur smell to it, you know, like eggs can. but I know these are going to be very tasty. I'm so excited. So I'll be storing them in the refrigerator from today on because they're right where I want them. I can tell by the look and the smell and the bubbliness of them. And then another thing I've got fermenting that I started after that video was I got another batch of banana vinegar going and decided, since I've got a lot of mojito mint, I love mojito mint. It makes a good ice drink, but I don't like it as much as a hot drink. I prefer the peppermint for that. But since I have tons of mojito mint, I thought, why not make a banana peel mint vinegar? And so that's what I've got going on here. When Patrick eats his next banana, I'm going to throw another peel in there. So I'll have 3 banana peels plus the mint. And I think that'll be an interesting vinegar. So we'll see how that turns out. That'll not as likely be something I'll use in a food. It just depends on what it is. But this could vary. This will most likely be something I'll use for cleaning more than anything. That's probably the one thing I use my homemade vinegars for the most. The more neutral flavored ones are going to be the ones I use for making homemade cheese and things like that. People still come in and ask me, you make a lot of vinegar, what do you use it for? Well, I have a video. I have lots of vinegar making videos, which I will link one down below, and I'll probably be making a new one soon. But I also have a video on the many uses for homemade vinegar, so you can learn about some of the various ways that you can use it. All right, now I've got this little bowl and this bag of Mother Earth dehydrated mushrooms sitting here. Now I've dehydrated mushrooms before that I've either bought from Costco or the chanterelles that we've gone out and picked out in the wild. When we remember, we have to be fast, and usually we're really busy that time of the year, but we have picked chanterelles before and they dehydrate up beautifully. You vacuum seal them into jars and then use them however. But anyway, we like mushrooms a lot and don't always get a chance to get out and get the chanterelles. So one of the things I did get, and you might have seen videos in the past where I bought the Mother Earth freeze-dried mushrooms, and they're great, especially for making a mushroom sauce. And I have a video on that, on how to make your own mushroom sauce. So it would be like a cream of mushroom sauce that you would use in place of a cream of mushroom soup that you'd buy at the store, that you can use in your various whatever it is you're gonna make, your casseroles and so on. But this last time I decided, I seen they had the dehydrated mushrooms. Now they're gonna have a different texture. I already know because of the texture that the freeze-dried ones I wouldn't like as much, even if I soaked them, putting on top of pizza. But these ones I figured would work well. Dehydrated mushrooms will stay more firm. So when I soak them, and I did this the last time I made pizza, and I'm making pizza tonight. Our son's coming over. He likes to come over once a week and we play games and eat food and have a good time. But so I did this last time. It worked out really good. So all I'm going to do is be soaking them. Once I'm ready to put the pizza in the oven, I just sprinkle them on there. I strain them out real good to get as much water out of them as I can and sprinkle them on top of the pizza. And then another thing I have going on over here is some oranges. We bought a couple of big bags of oranges from Costco, and we were eating them a lot there for a while, but then kind of got burnt out on them. So they're not getting worked through fast enough now. So these are the little mandarins. I'm going to be making Patrick some orange creamsicles out of those, and I'll try to remember to get pictures of that as well. So basically I just peel the oranges, I throw them in the blender, and then add, sugar to taste and some half and half, or even whipping cream, however you want to do it. And then pour them into the popsicle molds. And last time I did that, he really, really liked it. So that's what I'm going to be doing with those today. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was when I'm making, which I need to do this today if I have time, which I doubt I will, so hopefully tomorrow. When I'm making the different lip balms that go up on my store, there's always that little bit where it's not enough to fill another lip balm container, but you don't want to toss it either. So what I do is I keep filling. I have a couple of little jars like this that I just keep adding it to. And once I get a certain amount in there, then what I do is I add in like a little bit of shea butter, maybe some of my infused oil like this, because it's already pretty thick, and basically make another skin cream / lip balm that's just in a pot. I'll use this as both. It usually turns out to be a little heavier than my regular skin cream, so this is something I'm more apt to use in the evening before I go to bed. Like I'll put it around my eyes and any other drier spots. Use it on my elbows, I use it on my feet, I use it on any dry spot. I do the same thing with my regular skin cream that I make, but like I said, in the evening or in places where I need it just to be a little bit richer anyway, a little heavier, then I'll use this on that. So that's what I do. And it actually, surprisingly enough, even with all the different smells from all the different essential oils, it smells really good, and it ends up smelling like root beer. This one does. Okay, well, that's it for my this and that video for this week. And don't forget to check out the video links I'll be putting down below. And yes, I like to put them in the description box now rather than up here in the corner, because it's a lot easier for everyone to access, and I can put a lot more than just 5 down there. All right, well, I better get on to this next video. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.